The box was wrapped in gold. Neat corners, perfect ribbon. A touch too perfect. Everyone was watching. My friends, her friends, even the woman I once called my sister, though we hadn't spoken in 5 years. I smiled. She handed it to me with that look, chin tilted just slightly, as if I were beneath her shoes. Her husband, that greasy-eyed smirk always stuck to his face, leaned in and whispered something in her ear that made her laugh. They'd chosen this moment. My birthday. My 60th. The room fell quiet as I pulled the ribbon. I already knew. Something about the silence. Something about the weight. Or the lack of it. I opened it. It was empty. A beat. Then their laughter. His first, then hers, louder. "You're just as empty, Mom," she said, glass in hand. "We wanted to get you something that matched what you gave me growing up." There were gasps, nervous chuckles. Someone tried to change the subject. But I just sat there, staring into the box. Into nothing. Because the truth was, she wasn't wrong. Not entirely. But she had no idea why. The first time I held her, I was terrified I'd drop her. She was red-faced, screaming, and already somehow judging me. I loved her. God, I did. But I was never soft. I didn't know how to be. My husband left 3 months after she turned 3. Said I was cold, unloving, emotionally distant. I told myself he was weak. She stayed. I raised her, paid for her private school, bought her first car, never missed a performance, even when she pretended not to see me. But something shifted after her wedding. A distance, a steel wall behind her eyes. She stopped calling, then stopped coming. I asked once, quietly, if I'd done something. She said, "It's nothing. You just never really saw me." But it wasn't just emotional neglect she blamed me for. Not long ago, she sent me a photo of her newborn, a text below. "He won't grow up feeling like I did." I smiled, typed, "Good, I'm proud of you." But the seed was planted. Something festered behind her words, a rot I hadn't noticed before. And that box? That box told me it wasn't just hurt, it was hate. It started with a name, the man she called Dad, not her stepfather. The man she claimed was her biological father. Only, it wasn't possible. I'd never told her the truth. About the affair, about the man who'd vanished before she was born. It was a shame I buried so deep, even I almost forgot it. But she somehow knew. She always knew. I ordered a DNA test, quietly. Sent in my hair, her baby swab, collected from a pacifier she left behind on her last short visit. I told no one, not even my lawyer. The results came on a Tuesday. I stared at them for an hour. 0.0% probability. She wasn't mine, not biologically. The memory came rushing in. The night I found out about my husband's betrayal. The screaming, the wine bottle, the threat. Then silence. Then months later, a baby. His baby, not mine. I had raised her out of guilt, out of pride, out of a stupid, broken sense of control. She never knew. Until now, maybe, somehow, she did. And she hated me for something I never told her. At the party, as they laughed and clinked glasses, I walked away from the crowd and returned with the envelope. She was still smiling when I handed it to her. "What's this?" she asked, casually. I said nothing, just watched. She opened it. I watched the blood drain from her face, watched her hands tremble, then tighten. Her husband leaned over. Red. Red again. I could see it all unraveling in his eyes. She tried to say something, but I turned before she could form words, walked back to the table, sat down, finished my wine. The sobbing started 20 minutes later, in the hallway, behind a closed door. Then the yelling, a crash, a door slamming, and silence. I didn't need to speak, didn't need to shout, accuse, demand. The paper spoke louder than I ever could. I had let her punish me in front of friends and strangers, let her deliver her verdict, smug and sure of her moral high ground. Then I gave her the truth, that she was never mine, that her cruelty had been misfired all along, and worse, her husband now knew. He looked at me as they left, her mascara smudged, her mouth shaking. He asked, "How long have you known?" I said, "Long enough to know how dangerous the truth can be." He looked at her. God, I did. And I just smiled. The guests left quietly, the cake untouched. I sat alone, staring at the empty box still resting on the table. Fitting, I thought. Empty things don't scream. They don't bleed. They don't need apologies. They just stay quiet and let the others fill themselves with regret. She gave me emptiness as a weapon. I gave it back as a mirror. Let her see herself. Let her live with it. The box wasn't empty. It held everything she was too blind to see.